been a minute, guys. How are you? Hopefully good. A couple of new things happening. Well, more than a couple. C boxes. Hopefully, sometime after next week, we'll be moving to a new house. I finally got to purchase my very own first house, um, with the wife, of course. So we're very excited. It's not a big house. It's a little two bedroom, um, but it's got a huge garage and it's got a full basement, and I'm really excited about this because you know what that means. I'm gonna be able to play with my cars. I'm gonna be able to have my trains somewhere, and I'm gonna have my own studio room again. But this time I can put stuff on the walls, etc., etc. So, plenty of benefits. I am here because I bought. I'm talking about Behringer, and I know there's a lot of detractors out there, and I do understand their points of view, but I think it's nice for people that sometimes you're in a budget and you still have the ability to acquire something that, and for the most part, they work pretty good. Actually, I have no a lot of people think of it as imitations, and there might be similarities maybe in the layouts and designs, and sometimes they kind of try to achieve that, but I try not to judge. I try to keep things and my mind open about these things, and just give them their own personality. So that's how I take it. That's my view on things. So yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get me a control, for so I be able to ABCs the monitors, or have them all running at once and see what the big spectrum, they give me. Um, and I'm looking at some, but at that point in time, still today, because I have other things going on. They were a little pricey for what I was willing to pay for. So I'm like, well, I can do one myself, get a used one, and then I look at Behringer again, and I'm like, okay, they have this control. Um, yeah, it's got some similarities with some out there, but I mean, if it works, it works. I mean, it was cheaper. And for me at that time, it just made sense. So I looked up a couple of reviews on YouTube, like I normally do, and it was cool. So I went ahead and got it. So here it is, the bad boy. It's probably all plugged in now, but let's see if I can see. There it is. Now, it had an issue. It has an issue. Came in, and right now kind of took care of the first one there, but still have another one. When you moved it, there was something loose in there when it came. And I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, that might be just the big fame of things of this brand, and I just finally got one of those. So I wanted to open it, and yeah, indeed, there was one of the screws that is exactly similar to, or the same as one of the other screws that holds the circuit boards around, just hanging in there loose. So I'm like, okay, I picked it up and I went to find out where it came loose from, and apparently nowhere. So I guess somebody in his life just forgot a screw in there. Which I find extremely funny, because I mean, when you're closing this thing and moving it around, to get quality inspected and all that, how did it pass if people moved it? And I don't know. It just blows my mind. But that's not the case here. That's not the problem. Easy solvable, But I turned this thing on, and it does have a very high pitch sound coming from it. I mean, very audible, especially in an untreated room where this bounces off and reflects. And I'm trying to do mixes, and I can still hear it. and it kind of drove me insane. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to reach out. So I went and reached out to their parts department directly from the MusicTribe website. And I gotta tell you guys, despite of what you think of the brand, customer service, at least in my case this time, was fantastic. I have absolutely nothing but great words about the experience that I've had. And I gotta mention, I gotta shout out to, and I hope I say this last name right. So if not, excuse me if I don't, and send me an email and tell me how to pronounce it better. But Nicholas Tavcar, or Tavcar, I don't know. But Nicholas, amazing communication. It did take a little while for them to respond the first email back from the first one I sent, but once that was established, the communication started, and it was back and forth continuously. Great guy. So I want to shout out to him, Nick, and a shout out to the whole parts department at MusicTribe and the whole guys there, the whole team MusicTribe. Thank you guys for being so cool. I really had an amazing customer service experience with you guys. So guess what? I might get some more of your brands here. I know MusicTribe is not only Behringer. When I was looking on their menu for the parts, they include several other brands. So they're not. My understanding is they're not just Behringer exclusive. Whatever they do, I recommend dealing with them because like my experience was incredibly positive, really good, really humane group actually. So thank you guys for the good experience, and on top of that, I was nervous because I was getting ready to move. And I told him, look, I might be moving soon, so my addresses might differ from the ones you have on record right now. So how long is this gonna take? Because basically what we agreed is was they asked me for the serial number of the device, and when I purchased it, the receipt of my purchase, and he agreed to send me a warranty replacement. Not of the whole thing, because I went to the parts to request a specific part that was actually failing, which is the little circuit board that holds the power supply unit. And the thing was, a couple of capacitors in there where I don't know if it was the charge in them or just not at their best point or what, but it was making this very high pitched noise. So he's like, "Don't worry, man. We'll have it." This was last Friday. No, the one before last Friday. 'Cause I realized now it's Sunday. So he's like, "Don't worry, man. We'll have it in by the beginning of the week. So it'll reach to you before you move, or it's not gonna take forever." So I'm like, I appreciate it, man. It's super cool. And said and done, it was here on Wednesday. So the part came in, and in this video, I want to try to show you how to go through the process of opening this and switching, just in case you might buy one and you might find yourself in the same situation, or yours blew up, and you don't know how to change it, or haven't figured that out, or are scared. Just get reach out. The guys will send you. If you hire on warranty, they'll send you the part. If you're not, you'll probably have to pay a couple of bucks for it, but the parts are there and you can replace them easily. So let me put this on pause right now, and I'll come back with everything set. And probably since I have a mess in here, I'm gonna working with it on my hands here. I'll just lower the camera for you to see, and we'll go from there. That's what you need there. Okay, maybe that's a little better. So, let's see where the screws are at. I got 2 here, same on the other side. For what I remember, there's another 1, 2, and 3 on each side as well. And from the bottom, I have 4 and 3, a couple of rows. So I'm gonna get to taking all this stuff out. Okay, so we open this, and there's gonna be this cable. It goes to one of the circuit boards in there, but this is the power unit itself right here. So you'll be right there. That's power. So this is what comes out of it and powers the rest of the device. So we're gonna take this out. It's very simple. So we can separate this whole unit from the wrist, the chassis, and okay, this normally has a plastic cover. I removed it before because I don't know what's the purpose really. It's not for isolation. It's not for like taking any magnetic stuff off of it. It's kind of pointless. And it kind of makes me think if anything here heats up enough, that plastic might just melt or create a fire, so that's very dangerous, so I removed it. There's one screw right here, and there's one underneath. You can actually take this off. And there's another screw right here. So you have one here, and there's around the piece that connects the power cable, there's 2 plastic thingies on each side that come out this way, and they have like a sort of a nut, and there's a washer in between, and then it adjusts with this thing. I haven't screwed this with a simple Phillips screwdriver. Holding this guy, so that's what I'm gonna do this time, and get this out of here. Okay, and basically the screw that was just flinging around in this thing when I got it was one of these. It looked exactly like one of these screws that I'm taking out from here, which is basically the same that they are on the other side. One of these little guys just flying around, making noise. Okay,
so we're gonna get to this part now. This two screws, this part is loose. But we're gonna get this two guys, because if not, it's not gonna come out. So I'm gonna use my thumb here, place it, or my index finger, try to place it in here and kind of hold the nut together. And from here, start releasing this plastic thing. It's actually working. I didn't adjust them too much last time. I'm gonna check this out. I didn't want to reveal, it was pretty hard the first time. I don't know if there was a little bit of glue in there, but it was kind of hard the first time. And be very gentle when taking this off, because these little guys like to just fly off. Especially that little washer in there, and if you lose that, you won't be able to match the height of this thing to be able to close it again. So there's this part. Let's see. Washer. There's a plastic prong thingy. Okay. There's one side. And underneath, there's some plastic separators there too. So be careful, don't lose them. What I'm going to do to avoid having any problems, because considering this place is a little mess, I'm going to use my trusty knife. Try to pry that out first. See, so it doesn't just fall somewhere where I can never ever find it again. Is that's one set. Now let's go for the other one, the last one. And again, just putting some pressure on top there. It's probably not the proper tool. You can probably use a better thing. I think the first time I used a pair of tweezers, because it's very tiny. You don't have a lot of room in there. So just pressing the tweezers was good enough to make it work. You know, you're gonna have to sort of kind of get things moving and get creative sometimes. You don't always have, you know, some companies like to make these things really complicated for the wires. And if you have any experience with that, you know what I'm talking about. So here it is. This thing is out. And like I said before, I think all that whistling and high-pitched noise comes from these two guys. Because I was listening through, I didn't want to put anything on this side. My multimeter is dead and I don't know where it's at, so. But the noise came from here. It wasn't the coils. The coils are usually quiet, but these guys are very noisy. So hopefully with the new one, that problem will be solved. Hopefully, because I really like to use this device, this speaker control unit, or whatever you want to call it. All right, so let's get this guy open. They already taped it. Hopefully it doesn't have that plastic thing in it either. Alright, so I'm going to put this here for a minute. There it is. Exactly the same thing. See? Okay. This is the new one. So what we're going to do is just place it where it needs to go. I gotta get these two separators first. But in order for them not to be moving around, what I'm going to do is just put the prongs underneath first on this side, because they go from the outside. So once I have those, just hold them here with my finger in place, and then I will have these two separators in, and then much, and then this goes on top. 6, 1, I can get it correctly in there. The light situation is not helping. There we go. Okay, got it. So now, with this little plastic nuts, plastic nuts, that sounds funny. Just get them in there. Make sure they're steady a little bit and try to give it a couple turns. There we go. So that it holds the whole thing system in there in place. There's the other one. And mind you, for people that has, and I think I have sausage fingers, but I've seen worse. And I bite my nails, so I don't have any nails. But they're not too fat, excessively fat, but they're like hammery, you know, they're not pointy. Because I play bass too, so, and piano, and everything makes, they adapt, you know, and take weird shapes. So it's kind of tough to get really in depth in there, but just give it a couple of turns in there, just letting it be a little snug. Alright, so now I'm going to put the screws, one goes up here, it doesn't focus, I'm going to be, alright, it does. Alright, there we go. There's part one, and there we go with the second one. Goes right. Alright, so for the sake and length of the video, I decided to cut it there. Basically, putting it all back together is tracing back the steps of disassembling it. It's simple, it's not a complicated unit, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. And nothing, now it's just time to test it out and see if everything worked out the same it was supposed to. So here we go. I got it all plugged in, and the wiring for the speakers are there too, so I'm just going to turn it on. It's powered up, and let's see, there's a tiny little buzz. The camera may or may not pick it up, but it's not as bad as it was. I guess maybe now the transformers might need to kind of get to a few cycles to loosen up a little bit, maybe maybe not, I don't know. But all I can tell you is, with the bare walls and this thing on, it's not audible the way it was. So I'm pretty confident this was a successful experience, and hopefully it served to help you or guide you or give you an idea on how to kind of do the thing that I did, if you have the same problem or maybe something else. The parts department at MusicTribe, it's there, they have the parts, and just, you know, it's not that complex of a unit for you not to be able to do it yourself. Just be careful, use common sense, and don't work with it plugged in, and you should be able to pretty much solve all your issues. I'm sure they have parts for all this stuff that they take care of, so if you have any other products that fall on their list, I will recommend, if they need repair, that you just reach out and get your parts, and maybe save you a couple of bucks on labor and whatnot. You know, the parts, if you have to pay for them, I don't think they'll be crazy expensive, so it's more doable. I like my DIY projects every now and then. So with that said, again, I'm going to leave you be, and hopefully the next video will be from the new location, I'm hoping. So for now, this is it for me, and I'll see you guys next time.